Great. So, hey, everyone. Welcome to the Power of the Transfer CHICANX Latinx student experience. Hope you all are having a great Saturday. Just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Alexander. We have a really exciting Saturday planned for you guys. We're going to be including some keynote speakers, a couple panels with transfer students and on-campus clubs and organizations for Latino students. And the webinar will focus on student empowerment, creating community, and reclaiming what it means to be Latino. So we went with the theme for this year to be Yo Soy, to reflect that theme in mind. And then just some quick logistical stuff. If you guys notice to the top of the PowerPoints, you'll see green and red like cameras with like emojis. That's to signify whether we're recording or not. So green, of course, means that we are recording. So we just want to be mindful of y'all's privacy and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to turn off your cameras and mics, that'd be great. For the portions that are not recorded, that's to similarly also keep in mind of your guys' privacy. And we'll be sure to notify y'all when we're recording and not recording. And then I will go ahead and pass it on.
Yeah, so we do want to, give a shout out to full-time staff. So anybody here who's a part of it, please feel free to just unmute yourself and yeah, tell us who you are. So Santi, I see you're there, so you can, I think Alfred just went actually. So Alfred or Santi, feel free to take it away. And anyone else is here too.
Is Alfred here? Let me make sure he's, all right. So I'm gonna get going and start. My name is Santiago Bernal. Everyone calls me Santi, and that's perfectly fine. You can call me Santi. I am Salvadoreño. Both my parents and I myself was born in El Salvador. I came to the U.S. in 1980 when the Civil War was in its well, not early beginnings, but it was definitely at that point going on, and part of the Salvadorian diaspora that left our country because of the U.S. involvement in El Salvador and in other Central American and Latin American places as well. So definitely I'm here because the U.S. was there. I went to school at UCLA with an English degree. I was not a transfer student, so I definitely want to make sure that, you all know that, but my career has been all about transfer students. It's a passion, it's a labor of love. And I simply love to see community college students who are just amazing at everything they do. And you'll see that in action today, because again, our peer advisors are just so awesome. They have put this amazing program together for all of you. And I cannot even say enough. Words will not make justice to the type of work that they do. And with that, I'm gonna pass it on to Nancy.
Hi everyone, my name is Nancy. I'm an administrative assistant. I do identify as Latina, as Chicana. I'm happy to be here. I am a transfer student. I transferred from ELAC in 2018. I was also a CCCP mentee, a peer advisor, and now I'm working in the office. And honestly, without like these CHICANX and Latinx studies that I kind of felt like I just stumbled upon, I didn't know they existed. It really helped me transform my education, my life, and I'm really happy to be here. I transferred to UCLA. I graduated last year. I'm in graduate school right now. And I kind of just owe it all to like these studies and to CCCP. So welcome everyone. I'm happy to be here.
Alfred, I see you're in.
Yeah, I see Alfred. I was trying to, Alfred. He did tell us he was having.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yes.
Hi. Good morning. Sorry, the internet's out in my house. I think the fact that we got rain after 900 years of no rain did something. But anyway, I'm on my phone and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you to the to everyone who's put this together, particularly our student staff. My name is Alfred Herrera. I'm the assistant dean and I direct the Center for Community College Partnerships here. And I identify as Chicano and have been at UCLA for a really long time, focused on transfer students and making sure that students have access, open access, and then support once they get here. It's truly an honor to be here and to have all of you be a part of this. And my advice to you is to stay strong, stay focused, ask a lot of questions. There's a lot of information that you're going to hear. Don't think you have to take it in all at once, but do make the connections to follow up. We need to have you at UCLA and all the other universities because our voice and our history and our culture is important to be included. And so thank you for being here and have a great webinar.
Just want to check to see if there's any other full-time staff in the room. Let me know, make yourself known if you're here. But otherwise, I think we're gonna move to the next slide.
Hi, so this is like the planning committee. Unfortunately, they couldn't attend today, but we did want to give them like a really big shout out because they were a core part to helping plan this committee. So first we have Paola Benitez. She's transferred from Mount SAC, and she was a peer advisor in spring 2020, and she just graduated from UCLA. Then we have Luca, who transferred from ELAC and is majoring in philosophy. And last but not least, we have Aridia Ayvar, who transferred from LAVC, so Los Angeles Valley College, and was a peer advisor at Los Angeles Harbor College, and is also to a UCLA recent graduate.
Hi, everyone. I was a part of the planning committee. My name is Vanessa Diaz. I transferred from Los Angeles Valley College, and I'm a peer advisor at Los Angeles City College. I'm currently majoring in sociology with a double minor in entrepreneurship and community engagement and social change. And I'll pass it on to Javier.
Thank you, Vanessa. So hi, everyone. My name is Javier. My pronouns are he, him, his. And I transferred from Los Angeles Pierce College back in 2020. And I was a peer advisor as well at the same college, so LAPC. And I am double majoring in poli-sci and communication. Now pass it on to Alex.
Cool, thank you, Javi. So hey, everyone. You heard me earlier. My name is Alexander Quesada. I go by he, him pronouns. I transferred from Pasadena City College. I was also a peer advisor at LACC with Vanessa, and I'm a spring 2022 graduate as well, majored in political science. Thank you all for being here.
Okay, so we also did want to shout out some other parts of our planning committee. So I see Gloria is here. Would you like to introduce yourself, Gloria?
Oh, I was not in the planning committee, but thank you for including me in the slides. Hi, everyone. My name is Gloria. I'm a double major in psychology and education. And I'm just here to support the webinar. So thank you all for including me, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Gloria. And Calvin and Jasmine. So Calvin transferred, they'll be joining us a bit later, but to kind of, talk about them as well and give a little brief intro. So Calvin transferred from PCC and is currently a peer advisor and is a nursing major. And then we have Jasmine Nunez, who transferred from Pasadena PCC as well, and is a peer advisor as well.
Okay, so cool. So I just quickly want to read the CCCP's line acknowledgement real quick. So the Center for Community College Partnerships at UCLA acknowledges the Tonga people as the traditional land caretakers of the Los Angeles Basin and the South Channels, and are grateful to have the opportunity to work for the indigenous peoples in this place. As a land grant institution, we pay our respects to our ancestors, elders, our relatives, past and present emerging.
I'll be reading our Stop AAPI hate statement. CCCP condemns hateful acts of violence, harassment, and rhetoric targeting Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and Desi Americans. At the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been an alarming increase in the discrimination and violence perpetrated on the APIDA community. These acts of violence are nothing new, and we're disturbed by these xenophobic, racially motivated attacks. CCCP stands in solidarity with all of our students, colleagues, and community partners who experience marginalization and threat.
I will be reading our Black Lives Matter statement. So to all our students and colleagues in the Black community and across the diaspora, we stand with you. You are valued and important member of our campus and off-campus family. We all need to acknowledge the challenges and work to change them. We must work together as people of color and allies, people who are concerned about our future to eliminate these systemic disparities. We take a stand today and always because Black Lives Matter.
All right, and the Center for the Community College Partnership at UCLA also celebrates the diversity and the intersectional identities that shape who we are, including our sexual and gender identities, understanding, respecting, and learning how and why an identity that may or may not be visible requires learning to hear and amplify multiple communities' voices and unlearn social expectations, heteronormative traditions, and oppressive everyday practices. CCP strives to create a safe, brave, and inclusive space for our queer, transgender, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, in which they can openly and honestly, lovingly discuss the systemic barriers in the transfer pipeline and progressive strategies to uplift each other.
Hi, and we do want to talk about community cultural wealth, which is an idea developed by Dr. Tara Yoso. And so we want to just acknowledge that, there are multiple forms of, having, just creating community wealth. And here we have different key examples. So first we have linguistic capital, which is the characterization of, using like our language as a way to just form community and using that to we could leverage that in multiple ways. Secondly, we have aspirational capital, and like the idea of, us being very incentivized to just work hard and just, have a lot of dreams that we want to fulfill is another way of just forming cultural wealth. And then we have familial capital. And so just keep in mind too, we all come from very different backgrounds, and just keep in mind that, we also at the same time too, we have family, and, having family, which can be biological or not, that's a form of strength that does also, enrich, just the experience of being a student. And it's important to just highlight that too. And then we have social capital, right? So people you meet, people who you will network with, right? So I think this webinar is an example of social capital too. We want to encourage you all to be active in the chat, but also to join the group meet and talk amongst yourselves. So just know that we're here to support you all, and just wanted to highlight that too. Navigational capital is more along the lines of just being very persistent too, and just asking questions, and moving around, and all the different experiences you have dealt with. And then resistance. So I think, we want to highlight too that being a transfer student, it's a whole other ball game sometimes, right? But we want to just, let you know that that's important too, to, advocate for yourself. And that's another form of cultural wealth. And last but not least, cultural capital as well. So this could be your background, your ethnicity, how you choose to identify, and so kind of bringing all these different sets of identities, is important to recognize and know that they are valid and are valuable, just to you and the experience you create here. And we want you to keep these ideas in mind, moving forward in your academic journey. And then we have the idea of Hosonomics. Sometimes school could be a bit tough in terms of finance, and so sometimes we just got to do what we got to do to just keep on pushing. And that's an appropriate thing to do. Sometimes we just gotta do our best, right? And look for options and resources to kind of help ourselves or our communities out. And yeah, that's something important to mention, and it's definitely a part of community cultural wealth. And then we have transferabilities. So as a transfer, you have a lot of sets of experiences that you bring to an academic space, or outside of the academic space as well. And yeah, just bring whatever talents that may be to this space, and we encourage you to showcase them, always and forever. And then I just want to end on this note that community cultural wealth is an array of knowledge, skills, abilities, and contacts possessed and utilized by communities of color to survive and resist macro and micro forms of oppression. Okay, I can read this one too. So critical race theory. Okay, yeah. So critical race theory is a framework we use here at CCCP. It's like centered around this idea, and so we kind of want to talk about what it is, right? So critical race theory accounts for the role of race and racism in the United States education and works toward the elimination of racism and eliminating other forms of subordination, such as class, gender, and sexual orientation. So some key points to highlight is that critical race theory is the intersectionality of race and racism and other subordinations. It challenges dominant ideology in higher education, and it brings into the fact that, you know, experimental knowledge is valued. You know, this could be like our life experiences, things that, you know, that connect back to just like our intersectional identity that, you know, may just overall like allow us to get like a different perspective on and like bring and arise like different forms of you know, conversation that deal with like our identity and our backgrounds and our experiences. And then we have yeah, so kind of similar on a similar note, it's a interdisciplinary and an intersectional approach in the way of like looking at things, and there's a commitment to social justice.
All right, and then just really quickly, I just want to read some of our community guidelines and some of the net etiquette that we'll be utilizing for today. So of course, it goes without saying, but please respect the cyber community. Please keep your microphone muted and speaker and click on the speaker view, just so that way we don't get like any feedback or, you know, kind of like messing with other people trying to speak. If you have any questions, please do not be afraid to use the chat feature. Ask us, one of us will attend to you. Questions will be answered kind of during the Q&A portions for definitely for the panelist section of, so if you definitely have any questions for any of them, please, you know, feel free to unmute yourself or use a chat. You know, if you've been, you know, kind of speaking a little bit more, maybe allow some space for other folks who haven't gotten a chance to share yet, just so that way, you know, there's kind of a proportionate amount of voices being heard. And, you know, also be respectful to whoever's speaking. Of course, you know, don't interrupt and don't speak over or anything like that. Similarly, please don't challenge anybody in particular, but challenge any ideas. Of course, our identities are, you know, something that are pretty contentious and, you know, have a lot of historical and material baggage. So please, you know, challenge the idea if there's something problematic or something that you don't agree with, as opposed to going for somebody personally. And then lastly, and most importantly, please do not be afraid to ask any questions. Again, we have the chat feature. We'll be kind of monitoring it throughout the rest of the webinar. One of us will attend to you. If not, definitely use the group me feature. You know, one of us will also answer any of your questions in there as well. So yeah.
So this is our agenda for the day. So for our first session, right now we're doing the welcome. So you guys are getting to know who put this together and what we'll be doing today. And then at 10:30 to 10:35, we're going to be introducing our keynote speaker to you guys, which his name is Justin Mendez. And then from 10:35 to 10:50, that's when he'll do his keynote, and we'll have a Q&A portion so that you guys can ask Justin questions. And then from 10:50 to 10:55, we'll be introducing our second keynote speaker, Ashley Guzman. And from 10:55 to 11:15 a.m., we'll be having our keynote, Ashley speaking, and then the Q&A portion after. And then from 11:15 to 12:15, we'll be having the Chicano Latinx groups at UCLA. So we'll be having clubs and organizations at UCLA come and talk about what they do. And from 12:15 to 12:50, we'll be having a meal break. And then after our meal break, we come back for session 2. And we'll be having from 12:50 to 1:10, we'll be having a scavenger hunt, and it'll be in the format of loteria. So you guys will see what that's like. And then from 1:10 to 1:55, we'll be having a Jamboard activity. And from 2 to 2:05, we'll be having a short 5-minute break. And then 2:05 to 2:55 p.m., we'll be having a transfer student pipeline panel where transfer students will be coming and sharing about their personal experience going through the transfer process and just navigating higher education. And then from 2:55 to 3:10, we'll be having a Q&A, so you can ask them questions if you want to learn further about how they got to where they are, how they transferred. And lastly, from 3:10 to 3:30 p.m., we'll be having a raffle. For those who stay around, you'll have a chance to win a special prize, and then we'll be closing.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself, find the button. I have way too many windows open. That's always the case. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you to the RP advisors who put all of this together. And someone that was a peer advisor, we used to call them peer mentors prior to a few years back. Someone who has definitely traveled the educational system in many different ways. Someone who I met a long time ago. He does not remember when I met him because he was just a little child when I met him. I actually got to work with his mom at the summer sessions office here at UCLA. It was my first job right after I finished my degree here at UCLA. And, you know, I would have so much respect both for Justin's mom and this young man who has surpassed all kinds of expectations that, you know, our society places on young men of color. And definitely, for me, he has become that mentor at this point. You know, there's definitely someone that I look to see what needs to be or how the world needs to be. And Justin Mendez, please join us in you all can please just give a huge thanks to Justin for joining us today. I know he's busy. He currently is advisor at NERCO and just doing all kinds of great things. And he's a dad too. So Justin, the floor is yours.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Sorry for the delay. I'm gonna actually need like 5 minutes. Santi, you had told me 10:45. It is a good thing that I signed in early because I'm like, what? 10:30? I'm gonna need like 5 minutes. Let me get set up really quick, y'all.
You remember I said you said you needed earlier. Well, anyways, Justin, it's okay.
2 minutes.
Let's also mention the fact that for the Latinx community, the educational pipeline is not designed with us in mind. And I'm saying this because I know that for sure, Justin went above and beyond in terms of what, again, the system sets up for us. We know that CHICANX, Latinx students in the K-12 system are graduating in less than 50% from high school, right? So that's just think about it. So a student who enter the educational system in kindergarten and goes through the journey of going to the whole K-12 system, only half of them will make it with a high school degree. Less than 15% of CHICANX, Latinx from the ages of 18 to 25 have a bachelor's degree, right? And when you compare that to other groups, we have the lowest attainment, and I actually don't want to call it attainment. We have been supported the less in order to attain a degree, a bachelor's degree. If you're one of the first persons in your family who graduated from high school, or who is at a community college, or who is pursuing to get a bachelor's degree, you know exactly, you know, that journey, how that journey goes, right? That journey is always shared with us that if we work hard enough, that if we do the things that we need to do that we will be rewarded with that degree, right? Or with that, with the, whatever it is, the outcome of what we're doing, right? But that often is not the case. Very often what happens is that all these barriers that we don't see, because we all take them for granted, that those barriers do not allow us, and we're not supported to really be excelling at our best. When you think about many of our families who have to ensure they have a roof over their head, ensure that they have food on their table, those are the basics. And if we don't even have the basics sometimes, how can we even think about education, right? So it is that those forces that we don't see, that we take for granted, that we think, those are our faults. If I'm poor, that's my fault, right? I didn't work hard enough, and that's the way that we tend to think about or achievement, right? One of our professors here at UCLA, Dr. Howard, did a study where students who do not do as well would blame themselves for it. And students who do really well, and I'm talking students of color here, will not assign that achievement to themselves, but would assign it to the fact that they had a community, right? So, and what he was trying to say with that is that we're so easily to blame ourselves for what we don't accomplish, but not so easily accept the fact that we did achieve it. Yes, we did this. Of course, we have assistance from our families, communities, and what have you. But you should always, always, always also be very proud, and you gotta brag about your own achievements as well. So that's also just as important, right? So I think Justin, I see he has the cool background now. I don't know about that hair, Justin. Just that was a pandemic. That's the pandemic hair. I see it. But I love to see you always. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Big hugs to your mom and to the family.
Thank you, Santi. Thank you for the extra 5 minutes. I know you're always good at stalling. It's usually, what you do most of the time anyways, right? I'm just playing, Santi. It's all love. Wow, everybody's so happy to be here. Shout out to Santi. Shout out to the CCCP fam. It's always a pleasure and an honor to share space with this group. As he mentioned, I went through the CCCP pipeline. I transferred as a community college student from SMC to UCLA, with the help of CCCP and my peer mentors, which I'll get to. And then I was a peer mentor, right? And then they helped me again get from my undergraduate to my master's, just being a part of this community, being surrounded by these people who are so brilliant and educationally focused and hustlers, right? Who embody what it means to be a critical scholar and connected to the community. So as I mentioned, I transferred from SMC to UCLA. My undergraduate majors was Chicana and Chicano study, and then I minored in African American studies and education. Then I got my master's in education, also right here at UCLA. And now I am working at Long Beach City College. Shows how much Santi knows about me, huh? Like 3 years late. Again, I'm gonna just make fun of Santi all day. That's gonna be half of my presentation, y'all, just letting you know. So I'm the basic needs program manager. So I'm currently supporting students that experience food, housing, transportation insecurities, trying to connect our students with, homelessness resources, as well as food resources. And, we're giving out free bus passes and things like that too. So again, thank you CCCP for inviting me to do this, this talk. And of course, before getting started, I have to 100% Santi, PhD in Santi Shade. Is credentialed too. Yep. And then before I get started, of course, have to thank our ancestors, right? All of those who have fought, who have sacrificed in order for us to get to where we are today. My presentation today, it's, semi-informal because that's just kind of who I am and how I am. I'm gonna just be showing some pictures. I'm gonna be talking about my own personal journey and how I came to my identity and what I call myself today as a Chicano. Because the term, the understanding of what that means and what my identity is to me, it has also developed through the years. It's not the same as it was, you know, when I was young. It's not the same as it was when I was in CCCP, and it may be different even in another, you know, few years. And I think that, you know, that's important for us to always be intentional about who it is that we want to be, to explore these identities, to explore our roots and our history, and see and understand where we are in the world and make the changes where they need to be made. So also thanks to everybody for attending, right? Y'all could be anywhere in the world right now and y'all are right here with me and here to learn and here to support your own education also. So I hope I can continue to be a resource. If anybody, you know, wants to reach out, I'll have my email at the end of this presentation too. I think one last point before I actually go ahead and get the slides started is, you know, I don't mean to offend anybody or leave anybody out as I'm going through my presentation. Again, I'm not like a very formal person. So if I say Chicano and not Chicano, Chicana, CHICANX, Latino, Latinx, right? You know, I don't mean to leave anybody out. It's all love, but what I'm gonna be doing is sharing my journey, right? And my perspective. But definitely, I encourage everybody to engage in the chat. You know, feel free to unmute yourself if you can, if that capability is there too, to jump in and chop it up with me. If you relate, if you disagree, again, that's also okay. I think that sometimes we forget that it's okay to disagree. And especially within our community, right? Our raza, that there is so much diversity and there's so much different labels, and then we continue to disaggregate more labels, right? And then we create different identities and different labels for ourselves, and we continue to divide ourselves. And then we're like, oh, well, like this is what I call myself, and this is why. So you shouldn't call yourself that because that's not right. That's this. And I think that that is when it becomes problematic, right? So I'm not coming from a place to say, hey, this is how you should identify too, and this is what you should believe. But I think really a goal of this workshop and the talk is to help us remember that there is no right answer, right? We all have our own personal lived experience. We all have our own journey, and through our lived experiences is going to be how we identify, right? And how we see ourselves in this world, like I mentioned before. So there is no right or wrong answer. Let me just turn my charger real quick before my laptop dies. And yeah, and we'll get to the presentations. So let's pull up these slides. Can I share my screen? All right, are we good? Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
There we go. Let me see if I can pull up the chat box too at the same time. All right. Cool. So I think I should be able to see. I don't see boxes or nothing like that, right? All right, cool. Well, let me know if there's any technical errors throughout. So again, I identify as Chicano, right? Yo soy Chicano. And the X is in the front. It's not at the end. That's not a typo. It's not, you know, supposed to be CHICANX. It's supposed to be Chicano with the X in the front. And then we'll get to what that means. And I'm actually going to start this with a poem. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of this poem. Very big in like Chicano communities or folks and Chicano studies especially. It's a poem called I Am Joaquin by Rudolfo, Corky Gonzalez. And I first heard this poem in community college, actually. It was a sociology of Latino contemporary experience. And so I'll tell you why it's so important to me too. Thank you, Sophia. I'm glad, you know, somebody's familiar too. Yo soy Joaquin, perdido en un mundo de confusión. I am Joaquin, lost in a world of confusion, caught up in the whirl of a gringo society, confused by the rules, scorned by the attitudes, suppressed by manipulation, and destroyed by modern society. My fathers have lost the economic battle and won the struggle of cultural survival. I am Cuauhtémoc, proud and noble, leader of men, king of an empire civilized beyond the dreams of the Gachupin Cortez, who also is the blood, the image of myself. I am the Maya Prince. I am Netzahualcoyotl, great leader of the Chichimecas. I am the sword and flame of Cortez, the despot, and I am the eagle and serpent of the Aztec civilization. All right, and this was, as I mentioned, I came across this in community college, and the community college for me was really the start of my identity development, right? Consciously and understanding of what it means to be Chicano. And it was the first time on being asked and me being intentional about answering that question, like, well, what are you? Right? We get that all the time. What are you? And, you know, for me, I'm actually mixed. Okay, so I'm not full Mexican, right? Or 100% Mexican, you know. I had a professor too that says like, well, if you're 50%, like, well, what half of you is Mexican? Is it the top half that's Mexican and the bottom half, right? But I'm actually Mexican and Irish. My mom, you know, white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, and my dad is Mexican. But of course, phenotypically, meaning my physical appearance, looks very Mexican. And so I've always been treated as Mexican, right? Stereotyped as Mexican. As I was coming up as a youngster, right? Getting pulled over by the cops, having very negative experiences through my K through 12 education, low expectations. And that is definitely how I identified, right? But through that same time of coming up, it was very much this, you know, I think a lot of us are familiar with this idea that we're not from here and not from there, right? Ni de aquí, ni de allá. Or Gloria Ansaldúa has the term called Nepantla. Some of us are more familiar with it from Salinas, right? You know, Edward James almost says we have to be more Mexican than the Mexicans and more American than the Americans, right? I think we're all familiar and can relate. And so, you know, me, I didn't grow up speaking Spanish. It wasn't a traditional Mexican upbringing. But of course, I was always about Aztec pride, brown pride, and things like that too. But so when I finally got to community college and I started like learning about other things, this just connected with me so much because, you know, this last line also, right? I'm the sword and flame of Cortez, but I'm also the eagle and serpent of the Aztec civilization, right? And I've always identified that because I know I have this colonizer blood in me, right? And as well as the colonized. So that is what the X in the front of Chicano, it actually means to me. It's that intersection of my indigenous background and roots, as well as our, you know, the modern and our colonizer roots. And, you know, many of us, most of us, we all have that blood in us, both from the colonized and the colonizer, because especially if you're from, you know, Latin America or Mexico, because Mexico was also colonized twice, right, by the Spaniards and by the Anglos. And so this is what Chicano meant to me growing up, right? It was all about brown pride as I was a kid. And this was, if you had asked me young, you know, this is where I would identify. I identified with the Aztec pride and the brown pride, and I was all about, you know, but along with that came different aspects, right? It came also like the Cholo culture. It came maybe a little bit of machismo culture, right? As a lot of this time, like critical scholars might look at this traditional Aztec image holding this princess who needs to be saved, right? And it's not like an there's not many empowering images that are not very objectifying of women through this perspective, right? Through, you know, which is also a lot of like prison culture, right? This is from prison art as well. And so for me, this is like going through high school and coming up, this is like how I would identify as brown pride. You know, I wasn't educationally focused. I wasn't a scholar through high school. I didn't like high school. I was the one sitting in the back. I'd be clowning. You know, I did not connect or enjoy. I was like sleeping in math classes, like notoriously. So it wasn't something that my identity and my language, it was not as a scholar as it is today and now, okay? And this is where it would come from, right? So this is actually my family. So this is my brother who is 9 years older than me. And so my brother's the one who was locked up. Okay, a lot of people think like, oh yeah, I thought that was your dad, but not. My dad's right here next to my mom, and then my brother's the one who was locked up. My dad, he would work like a lot, so he would be gone most of the time. So a lot of the times it was me and my mom in the household, and my brother was in and out, you know, most of his life, and then actually locked up really the majority, you know, in state. And so this is, you know, I looked up to him. He, to me, as I shared in like our Men of Color workshops, like he was the man to me growing up. So a lot of like, you know, my identity was coming, like trying to be like him. He was the cool dude. He had the ladies, you know, he had the respect, and that's who I looked up to, and that's who I wanted to be. But at the same time, he was the one who made sure that I wasn't getting caught up. He was the one making sure that I wasn't, you know, caught up in the streets, that I knew that I was expected to go to college and that school was important. And I was always more worried about him kicking my ass than, you know, any other fool on the street or any peers or like peer pressure or something like that. So, you know, I really give my credit to getting into college and being motivated to persist to my brother. And of course, my mom, you know, you heard it from Santi. Santi shouted out my mom too. And she's definitely the one who's always had that high expectation of like, you know, going to school. And then, you know, I wanted to put a picture of me like in football too, because I don't want to make it seem like I was a complete like knucklehead, you know, and like failed out like all D's and stuff like that. Like, but going to football, it also helped me like make sure I was keeping my grades up and that so I could stay on the team and keep on playing. So, you know, this was me as a youngster, again, coming up, being all about brown pride and Aztec pride. And then it wasn't until as I mentioned earlier, I got into community college and I really wanted to change up my experience, right? I was like, you know what? High school was whack. And now I'm at like Santa Monica College and I'm by the beach. And like, I want it to be different. There was like, they had this welcome day or VIP day, I think they called it. They had all the clubs out there. All right, so I'm walking to the clubs and they had two clubs right here next to each other. There were the two Latino clubs. And one was like Alas, and they said, yo, we're here to you know, inform and increase awareness of the conflict from the US and Latin American countries and how, you know, the US influences has created these systems of poverty. And we were trying to like, you know, resist the system of oppression. I was like, okay, like cool. And then right next to them, it was like LSU, the Latino Student Union. They said, yo, every Thursday we have socials, we party, we do bowling nights, beach nights, bonfire nights, club nights, things like that. And I was like, oh man, like that's cool too. So here's my first question to the group. Which one do y'all think I joined? Okay, did I join Alas? Was I like, yeah, like, you know, power to the people? Or did I join LSU? And I was like, yeah, yo, I'm here to have fun and I'm here to party it up. Anybody want to guess? Raquel said party one, Alan, LSU, yup. Definitely, I did, you're right, gotta be LSU. But guess what? I joined both, y'all, I joined both. So it was a trick question. I got y'all already stereotyping me. Look at what y'all think you're doing. Okay, no, I'm just playing. So yeah, I did. I joined the LSU, but I also joined Alas, right? Like I always tell folks, right? And I'm gonna tell all of you, join as many clubs as you can. It's not a contract, right? Go and stay with the ones that you like. But after going to both, I definitely was more, I found myself being more engaged and involved with Alas, right? With the one that, because I felt like I was learning about myself. I was learning this history that I never learned in school. I was learning about like, you know, the Contras, and I was learning about colonization in general. And I never had that through the classroom, but then being around like folks and scholars, like other community college students who did know, I was just gaining so much information that I was relating to, and I loved it. And then it was actually through that club, you know, I surrounded myself. I had folks and friends that also wanted to transfer, and they told me about this crazy program called CCCP. And all my goal was to get to UCLA. Okay, you know, my mom worked at UCLA with Santi, right? If he didn't say that, way back in the day, you know, you didn't need a college degree to work at UCLA. My mom actually has only an 8th grade level of education, right? She never went to high school because she actually got pregnant with my brother at 14, had him at 15, and just, you know, and just worked and helped to take care of my brother. And so, but she, you know, was a hustler, and she got that job at UCLA. And so she would bring like little pencils, little pens, little like posters and things like that about UCLA. She got to take me to a UCLA football game. So the only thing I knew about college was I loved UCLA and I didn't like USC. Okay, that's almost still true today. But again, through this program, they told me about CCCP, get to stay at UCLA for free. I said, yes, that's a program for me. And then, you know, I came right here to Triple CP. So here's another surprise for Santi. You know, if you want to know how Santi looked back in the day. And so this was my first time actually, you know, developing identity as a scholar, right? So I got to be exposed to other Chicanos, other students of color that were getting master's degrees, that were getting doctorate degrees. And these are conversations that I never had before, or that I would ever see from myself. And I, you know, so it was like life-changing for me, because I was like, oh, damn, like I could actually be a UCLA student. Dang. And like my whole life, I was told right in middle school that I was going to be either dead or locked up by the time I was 25. And that's not something that, you know, you just put away as a kid in middle school when you're told that. Uh-oh, Santi's trying to say he's got pictures. I bet you got a lot of pictures too, Santi. I should have, you know, I should have showed this video of Santi doing some karaoke. It was the same site program. He got down on some Michael Jackson. I'll pull that video out real quick. Hold on. Let me try to wrap this up, and I'll show the surprise at the end. That's going to be the special prize for the gift at the end, right? Okay, so this program was like, again, basically everything you heard before, right? Community cultural wealth, the Chicano educational pipeline, and learning like, dang, like our people have historically and statistically not made it, but we can do it. Like I'm seeing examples of people that we could do it too. So boom, like this has motivated me on a completely different level as I went back to community college and wrapped up and prepared to transfer. And then I continued to develop this Chicano identity, right? And I learned, you know, I started watching documentaries, and I connected this Chicanismo to really social movements, right? The farm workers movements, the school walkouts, Chicano Park, right? All of this strong history of resistance, identifying struggle, and really just working together as a community to make the change that we need. And so that's really right when that was my community college experiences and my identity as a Chicano, as well as my identity as a scholar. And so I wanted to ask you all, right? When you get asked that question, got you, Santi, what are you? So put in the chat right now, okay? If someone asked you, what are you? Then I want y'all to see it. Let me put in the chat. I heard somebody say earlier, I think Latina, you know, is that Chicano? Is it CHICANX? Is it Latino? Is it Latinx? I want y'all to put in the chat, what is it, or how is it that y'all identify when you get asked that question? What are you? Human, racist, Latino, Latina, Chicana, mixed. Yup, definitely. Black, Latina, Chicano, mixed. Loved all my mixed peoples, Latinx, Latino. You know what? So I'm seeing like the Latine. I think that's something different. So I'm gonna have to ask some of y'all. But I know I only got a few minutes. Santi always got the extra spice, you know, with his identity too. Indigenous Mexican, love it, love it. Again, so just want to acknowledge the diversity, right? The diversity, and remembering that how you identify is okay, and you don't have to change how you identify, and you don't have to change other people how they identify, right? But I did want to go through at least like, so we're all on the same level briefly, right? A lot of the times we use these terms and don't know exactly what that is. Definitely continue to feel free to keep on sharing, right? So again, for me, you know, I definitely never identified as Hispanic, because as soon as I learned the term Hispanic, I was like, yeah, that term was created by the Nixon administration, right? To categorize everybody for the census, just to bring all Spanish peoples together, you know, and then of course there's a lot of pushback. Well, what about Brazil? They're, you know, Latin Americans, and they're not considered because they're not Spanish speaking. So then they have Latino, Latina, which is, you know, all Latin American countries. So that's encompassing of Brazil, but then it also leaves out Spain, which a lot more people are okay. Like, yeah, that's Spain, they're the colonizers, you know. And then there's Chicano and Chicana, which, you know, I think generally and traditionally, although there's a lot of definitions, most folks would just refer to it as Mexican American. That's why you got a lot of folks like Santi, or you know, who are you know, come from, hold on, let me see, well, how did he who identify as Salvi, Latino, Centro, Maricon, you know, and so he's like, I'm Salvi, I'm not Mexican, I'm not Chicano. And I had a lot of other friends who said the same thing, right? That because they don't identify as Mexican, they're coming from Colombia, they're coming from other countries, that they don't identify as Chicano. And then we know we have the new Latinx, and now, right, this is different than how I came to know that X and Chicano as more connection of our indigenous and like colonial roots. But now Latinx and CHICANX uses that X to serve as like gender neutral or, you know, non-gender binary or non-gender conforming terms, okay? But for me, I kind of mentioned it earlier, what Chicano is to me, it's really, you know, these three aspects. And I actually did learn this at UCLA too through a faculty, and it's just a definition that I always connected with. And I think it was dope because I started to hear and meet Chicanos that were Black. There were Black Chicanos, there were Asian Chicanos, there were mixed identifying Chicanos that were not Mexican American, but we all held like these core beliefs true. And it's that we are actively learning about our own identity and our own roots and our history and our ancestry, that we understand the historical marginalization and oppression of our communities. And with that understanding, we're committed to improving those conditions and our communities and resisting this oppression that has, you know, been perpetuated through political legislation, social, right, de facto and de jure oppression and marginalization. Okay, so we have the knowledge, we're gaining the knowledge, and once we gain that knowledge, we're actually doing something to be active and changing our conditions to help our peoples out. And then, you know, I continue to explore that, right? I got to go to Mexico for in Teotihuacan. I got to learn from, speak with Totex, right? Speak with indigenous folks from the motherland. And it was really not till I got there when they said, you know what, like, and I shared with them, like, yo, I don't identify as indigenous because I don't even speak Spanish. I don't even speak the language, you know, and even though it's like the blood, it's hard for me to identify as indigenous. And they said, you know what, like, if it's not you to help spread that knowledge and awareness, then then who is it, right? Then who's it gonna be? Because there's this extreme, you know, there's a history of gentrification and very intentional efforts to wipe out, to erase indigeneity. And so if it's not us who have that knowledge and connection to our indigenous roots, then who is it gonna be? So to not hold that falsity, that myth that we hear so much. So you're not real Mexican, you don't even speak Spanish. Oh, you don't like spicy food? How can you call yourself Mexican? Oh, like, well, you don't even celebrate that holiday? Oh, you're not Catholic? Oh, you don't do this? Like, you're not a real Mexican, you know? So it took a lot for me to try to shed that away in order for me to accept that I can identify as indigenous and hold that true. And you know what, thanks so much for answering that, Chachi. I want to say it's Chachi. I definitely, as folks like ask me, I do say I'm mixed. I do say, yo, like, cause yo, my mom was there for me. I can't like not accept her Irish roots. But a trippy thing about my mom is like, she was actually raised with like Mexican families too. So you meet my mom and she acts like a Mexican mom. She's like, oh, mijo, like, come on. She always wants to feed you and she only makes Mexican food too. But yeah, 100%. And I actually really want to go to Ireland. I really want to explore those roots more too, right? Because there is a whole history and indigeneity of the Irish peoples too. But you know, so I continue to explore, I continue to fight back, right? I took what I learned. I continue to join the protests, to start the movements. And then I had to have pictures of my daughter here too, because having a daughter and being a parent is definitely a huge aspect to my identity, and also me being intentional about thinking about how to help her understand her roots, you know? So I know I'm wrapping up on time, yo, but you know, I wanted to share, this is where I'm at today, right? It's continuing to explore this indigenous background. You know, I still stay G'd up from the feet up all day, every day. You know, my brother made it out, and then unfortunately he actually went back in, you know, but the struggle is real, you know, and I made it, right? So when we go back, I always tell Frank, I don't know if Frank's on the line, but I tell him how like when I was in CCCP, right, and I met him, like he was the dude, I was like, dang, like he's dope. He's like a conscious Chicano, he's got the trenzas, like the dude is like smart and he's empowered. I was like, yo, like that's how I want to be, you know? And like, you know, I feel like I'm there, right? Here I am. I become wise. I got my hair. I got my trenzas going sometimes. And then you could check it out. Yo, your boy even became his own Aztec warrior too. I do danza, I'm in the grupo. Like I said, this is still an active search. This is me actively learning every day about my indigenous roots, about spreading that knowledge and continuing to resist this oppression that gets pushed forward on us and our peoples every single day. And so I know my time is up. And as I started, I actually want to end. It's a little bit longer, okay? So just 1 minute as I wrap up. This is the end, okay? So I definitely, if you haven't seen I Am Joaquin or read it, look it up. It's a few pages, but I want to finish with these powerful words to wrap it up, because I think it does sum up kind of my own perspective and how I understand Chicanismo as well. Okay. I have existed in the barrios of the city, in the suburbs of bigotry, in the mines of social snobbery, in the prisons of dejection, in the muck of exploitation, and in the fierce heat of racial hatred. Like a sleeping giant, it slowly rears its head to the sound of tramping feet, clamoring voices, mariachi strains, fiery tequila explosions, the smell of chile verde, and soft brown eyes of expectation for a better life. And in all the fertile farmlands, the barren plains, the mountain villages, smoke-smeared cities, we start to move. La raza, Mexicano, Espanol, Latino, Chicano, or whatever I call myself, I look the same, I feel the same, I cry and sing the same. I am the masses of my people, and I refuse to be absorbed. I am Joaquin. The odds are great, but my spirit is strong. My faith unbreakable. My blood is pure. I am Aztec Prince and Christian Christ. I shall endure. I will endure. All right. So, take that, run with it, move with the people, be great, love yourselves, love others, let people be them, and you be you. I hope that this was helpful, informative, something for y'all. If y'all ever want to chop it up, or if there's anything I can do to help, please feel free to reach out. There's my name and my email. Once again, thanks CCCP. Thank y'all for engaging with me, laughing with me, and all of the engagement in the chat. Definitely appreciated. I hope to see everybody in person soon, yo. Santi, bring us back. We need that UCLA energy and vibes again.
That's right. Call it into the universe, Justino. I mean, that's it. You are, just again learning from you, and I look forward to that meeting. Definitely, we need to be in person again and just throw shade at each other as good as we do in person, because that needs to happen soon.
Definitely.
Again,
you can email me for that video of Santi doing karaoke, getting his dance on. So we'll
just remember.
Let's make that viral.
Just remember, after training, that first time after training, I'm just gonna say that. I'll leave it at that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Santi definitely got stories.
Thank you so much. And if there's, I'm not sure if you have some time, but if there are questions on the chat, you can go ahead and put them on the chat, and just if you could answer those in the chat too, if you have time. Of course, I understand that. I know you were pressed for time as well, but thank you so much. I love you so much. And thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Love you too, Santi.
All right, and with that, we're gonna have our next keynote speaker. So when we were thinking about this webinar, and we were thinking about how too often we are just placed as one big group, right, of Latinx, CHICANX, or however they want to call us. We know that our experiences, though are similar, though are connected, they're not necessarily the same, and not being the same, being different is not a bad thing. It's a good thing, and to be represented though is important. And we wanted to make sure that we had two keynote speakers so that we had multiple voices. And I know that we can do even more, and hopefully we will continue to grow this into something that becomes as representative, as inclusive as possible. But with that, I want to ask Ashley Guzman, who was one of our extraordinary peer advisor during that year when the pandemic hit. She was one of our scholars coordinator, and wow, she just ran with it. I mean, she just she just did You know you did. I mean, it was one of the best Saturday academies.
It was a
that we
huge
had,
transition. I didn't even know how I did it.
but you did it. I mean, and Ashley, I have learned so much from you. I continue to learn from you, and it's just such a pleasure to welcome you back to the space that, you know, the first online activity that we had, she was one of the architects of that activity. So, you know, here's your legacy. First, CHICANX Latinx West with the X. So, you know, you're back home. Ashley, take it away.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. Give me a few minutes. Then if I can pull this up really quickly. Can everyone see my screen? I'm going to put it as a present. Sorry, it's been a while since I've used this.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it as percent. Okay. Okay, can everyone see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, well, hi everyone. Thank you, Santi and CCCP for inviting me. It feels so nostalgic being back because it has been a while since you know, I've spoken to everyone at CCCP, and I'm just really happy that you invited me and to bring in some, you know, Central American, Salvadoran representation onto this you know, webinar. Again, thank you. My name is Ashley. My pronouns are she, her, hers. So I kind of just want to begin giving you guys a little background story of who I am, in hopes of providing you some inspiration. And, you know, once you begin that higher educational journey of you. I am a Salvadoran American. I was born in Los Angeles, Mid-City specifically. For most of my childhood, I currently living in Pomona. So I basically had my teenage years there, and I'm still living here. I'm living with my parents. And over time, I decided to really kind of reflect on my journey at, you know, LA, you know, because my parents usually they worked in specifically my dad, he worked at a liquor store in Westlake. And so Westlake is basically a predominantly Central American community in LA. And it still is, right? We have this Salvadoran corridor there, and we have a lot of, you know, very, very low income areas for our Central American people in Westlake. So over time, I sort of grew up in LA, and then I moved to Pomona. I decided to enroll into community college. Now that really wasn't the thought in the beginning. It was obviously never really brought to my attention when community college, if community college was even an option right after high school, right? It still had, or it still has, a stigma to it. Schools really never pushed, especially those who have a very low GPA or those who weren't a part of AP classes. They never really pushed us to even attend a four-year university. So none of this was actually in my plan in the beginning. I was almost at the verge of never really passing high school. And really, it was really unfortunate that, you know, it took my parents to really just try to, you know, push me, hey, you know, you're not doing so good in school, you need to sort of pass. And community college was eventually going to be the option, right? The same year I graduated, I took the initiative of enrolling into Citrus. And it was challenging to begin with. My family didn't really have any clue of what community college is in the first place, right? And even how to begin the process. So I really had to seek out those resources alone. I had to ask many questions, and I really didn't know what I was doing during my journey in Citrus College. But luckily, counselors there really did introduce me to one specific program called EOPS. And I'm sure many of you have heard of this, but it was basically a program that provides low income and disadvantaged students the opportunity to seek specific counselors, give out book vouchers, and it's just an overall great community to establish connections, right? This specific program really did help me during Citrus College, as well as UCLA CCCP, you know, because I was a mentee before, and I had peer mentors who were coming to Citrus and coming to talk to me, you know, how I was doing, you know, if any updates on like my academics. And, you know, they really did, I really did find inspiration from them when they were coming to Citrus. You know, I wanted to be like them. And so, you know, they've experienced it, a lot of mentors, and even like my counselors, they have walked in our shoes before. More importantly, they provide us advice into our higher educational journey. I graduated from Citrus in 2018, and I transferred to UCLA with sociology, and then I minored in education. And throughout my time there, I think I started off with the TSP, the Transfer Summer Experience, that was directly from the AAP program. And so one thing that they always mention was the idea of forming community, right? This program was a stepping stone to me meeting folks from places all over the world. And it was a chance for me to form bonding and form a family outside of people and folks in Pomona, right? When someone mentioned like, hey, you need to form a community, you need to form, a friend group, like, okay, what does that mean? Like, I grew up in Pomona, that's my family over there. And, you know, that's where I basically grew up. In a predominantly Latinx community. And throughout the time, you know, I did, you know, TSP really did support me, UCLA, CCCP, you know, I did Classic Site previously, and it really did help me in my transition. The Transfer Summer program, as you know, in the picture at the bottom, that was actually our cohort. And to this day, I still talk to a lot of many people from there. It was an amazing experience. And I was able to sort of engage in a lot of critical topics. And overall, I think taking courses through here, bonding with our cohort, living inside the dorms really did help me establish a connection with the university. And as a first-generation college student, that was one of the most overwhelming, but yet most rewarding experiences I have ever done. In addition to that, I think one of my other self-discovery journeys was being a part of a Central American organization on campus. There is an org called Unión Centroamericana, and it did really help us get more involved in organizations that are off campus, orgs that are currently advocating for Central American issues. And as a Salvadoran American, one of the hardest things was to learn the reason why a lot of people have fled during the crisis and in the 1980s due to colonialism, imperialistic measures, and militarization that happened in Central America, right? And it was yet a really hard topic, especially as a Salvadoran American, when our parents don't really talk a lot about these issues. And it came to realization when I joined this club. You know, we've touched on a lot of topics on, Afro Indigenous communities, the popular education, such as what sort of orgs are currently advocating and are on the ground in Central America. And so we would bring speakers from Central America to here to speak to our students, right? And we had a lot of folks, Lacey Abrego, as if you guys haven't heard, but she is the chair of the Chicana Central American Studies department. And we also pushed for a lot of the name expansion. And UNICA was actually the org who has also established a Central American art exhibition. So we had folks from across the states. We had people from, Honduras, Guatemala, sending us their artwork so we can display it at Fowler Museum. And it was a really, really engaging experience. And honestly, UNICA was sort of like a self-discovery, more getting in touch of the reasons of the political history that has happened in Central America and across Latin America and the connection they have with one another. And so I graduated from UCLA in 2020. And it, like Sandy said, it was during COVID. I was working for UCLA CCCP for, when we transitioned to online learning and, having our virtual webinars. It was a very shocking, but yet this experience really changed me forever. The idea of therapy was never really talked about in our families. And so I heard of the topic of intergenerational trauma, right? Where our parents have held a lot of this experiences back in their home country. They've seen things, eventually they endure a lot of, depression, anxiety, and eventually it's something that I've also exhibited in my lifetime, right? And when I was done during, once I graduated, I started seeking therapy, and I started to sort of try to unpack a lot of these, past experiences that I've had, and just to get more in depth with what's happening, And so I'm continuing a lot of my advocacy with Citrus College. I'm getting in touch with, folks from, who identify as Central Americans. We're in the process of trying to establish a Central American organization at Citrus. So it's still in the works, but hopefully we can eventually, partner up with other Central American orgs out in LA, and especially with UCLA UNICA. But I'm also in the process of applying for my master's degree in educational counseling, because I think that was one of the foundations of me and of people, mentors, advisors, counselors who really did provide that stepping stone for me to pursue higher education. But overall, for those of you who are applying, who are at UCLA or, are looking to, apply to universities this upcoming fall or in the next few years, there's no timeline for you guys. You guys all have to take your pace at it, discover the roots, and really learn to unpack a lot of it, right? There's a lot of issues that are surfacing across all of Latin America, and it's just really important for you to all get in touch with that, right? Get in touch with folks in your department, join clubs that can really help you discover, who you are as a person. And I really promise you that that'll be an experience that will leave a mark on you in a very positive light. So thank you all for having me. I know this was short, but I don't want to take so much of your time, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me, unmute your mic, or, put them in the chat box. But thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Oh my God, you're just amazing. Thank you so much again. I want to be as transparent as possible. I asked Ashley very last minute, and she is so just amazing. And I want to tell you again, I continue to learn from you, learning, that, the work that you're doing, and being able to talk about the trauma, that that intergenerational trauma. And I definitely can relate to that. My niece, one of my nieces just started, is a Central American Studies major at season, and she has made her family talk about these things, and it's been a hard but healing process for us as well as a family. And so,
yeah, well, thank you so much. I also forgot that I had another slide on a poem that I wrote. I write poetry, and this was during when COVID-19 hit. So I can go ahead and read it. It says, Mother the Earth, the skies are becoming clearer, the nights are becoming quieter. Mother the Earth, our people need you. Grow the life of fruit for those in need. Mother the Earth, our people promise to take care of you, but others are trying to bury you. Mother the Earth, it is them in sovereignty controlling machines to bury us. The seeds have grown, our people are planting more seeds, and return the land that was yours. Protect the land and uplift community voices. So, as the days continue, we have to remember a lot of the effects of capitalism and, the impact it has on a lot of our families to this day. And, it's, since COVID and since from there, we're trying to transition back to, our quote unquote normal life. We still find a lot of inaccessibility and lack of access for a lot of, people of color. And so, when is it enough, right? When will, exploring the workers out, especially because my dad was previously a farm worker when he was living up in Northern California, and then he moved back into Westlake. It's a long of power and money and greed, right? Instead of providing us for free and accessible resources. And so it's something that has always been in my mind, and something that I kind of wanted to share with you guys, right? This is a topic that needs to be talked about. And I share this through poetry. And there are many ways a lot of us can really reflect on how we communicate this, whether that's, sharing this and having deep discussions, or poetry or art, whatever it might be. So I ask you guys to really form yourselves in and establish whatever you feel you're able to communicate all of this into something. It could be, poetry, and I found this as a way for me to sort of communicate a lot of my thoughts and a lot of issues that I've been going around in, this world. So thank you again. So
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's my email, by the way. I know someone in the chat asked it. So
again, thank you so much, Ashley. I know it was a last minute request, and you just always shine. You're always just, continue to shine, because we need your voice everywhere. And to the to our participants again, please reach out to Ashley. She is so amazing, also responding. So I mean, I think definitely is someone who you want to keep in contact. Justin, maybe, Justin maybe, but Ashley for sure. No, seriously, these two individuals are just exemplary. I mean, again, just they represent themselves, but within themselves, they carry their communities, and it's what we really hope for everyone, that you're able to carry that, not as a burden, but as the way to show the world that we are so much more than just one thing. We're so many multiple things, and we have both, of course, or stories of struggles, right? But we also have stories of triumphs, of joy, and so beautiful to hear that poetry. Yeah, you just touched my heart so much. And Justin, you just, again, both of you, and I thank you to the team who, again, our peer advisors who are so amazing. I'm gonna pass it on to, I think, I want to say, who am I passing it on to? I believe it is Vanessa, I think, or no, Alex, I think.
No, it's
Yes.
to me, Vanessa.
Oh, it's you, Vanessa. Okay, thank you.
Real quick. Thank you, Ashley, for your beautiful presentation.
Thank you all for having me. I will go ahead and provide my email on the chat too, because I know there's a lot of folks asking. So thank you guys.
Okay, thank you. All right, everyone. So now we'll be moving on to our clubs and orgs fair section. So these are going to be clubs and student orgs from UCLA, and they'll be sharing about what their club or organization entails and how you can get involved. And first, we will have Grupo Folclórico de UCLA. Grupo Folclórico de UCLA is committed to the celebration of Mexican heritage through regional music and traditional dances. With our membership base of UCLA students, alumni, and community members, our goals include creating positive Chicano, CHICANX role models, promoting cultural awareness throughout the campus community, and encouraging the youth of Los Angeles to celebrate their cultural roots at higher education institutions like UCLA. And they are a no experience necessary group, and they encourage everyone who's interested to join their practices. And then they have some major events and activities throughout the year, like the Dia de los Muertos show during fall and the Fiesta Mexicana during spring. They have small community performances at UCLA and in the Los Angeles area. And they have retreats and social events throughout the school year with an end of the year banquet for their members. And they also have fundraising events. And if you're interested in learning more about them, you can follow them on Instagram for updates. And yeah, so please, if you want to share your screen, please let us know.
Hi, thank you so much for that introduction and also for having us. We're very happy to be invited and to share our club and organization with you guys. So that's all our general information of just like what our mission statement is about, what we're about, and what we want to provide our members and the greater community of UCLA and also Los Angeles. I myself am not a transfer student. I am going to my second year of university, but I found that the Grupo Folclórico itself was such a good community to be a part of that I am now in a leadership position within the org with my co-medium, who's also here, will be representing our organization. We do a lot of work to really just kind of make sure that our community is a good space to be supportive and to share resources beyond just being an organization and of course dancing, creating art. We also collab with different groups on campus. One of the major organizations that we collab with is the mariachi, because we of course perform together and we do large performances as well as smaller performances with them. We collab with other Latinx groups too, Hermanas Unidas. We've done social events with them so that our members can also meet other members in those organizations. Oftentimes, a lot of our members are a part of various organizations as well. So we also use this opportunity to network with each other and provide each other resources, information about something that some of us may not always know about. So this is really a community of not just dancers and artists and performers. We understand that we're all students and we have similar backgrounds and we want to support each other as well. Medium, if you would like to share anything, please add on.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Miriam and I am a third year at UCLA, majoring in political science with 2 minors in education and CHICANX Central American Studies. I joined Grupo Folclórico my winter quarter, so I was very fresh into it. And it was a great experience for me. At that time, it was really difficult for me to even engage in campus because I had gone my first year virtual and some of my, for a second year, also like hybrid. So it was really difficult for me to like meet people, make connections and find community on campus. And that's like the biggest advice that I really emphasize, like find community, whether it be through like cultural organizations or, organizations that are centered around like your passions and interests. And well, for me, like being away from home, like I really wanted like my community to be supporting me, being in a room with people that look like me, that have similar backgrounds and share similar experiences. So that's when I reached out to Grupo and started participating in their events, started joining the practices. And then I remember the first performance I had with Grupo was during our Valentine's event. So we tend to have different small performances throughout the school year. We have one for Valentine's Day. We had one for Cinco de Mayo. And all members are welcome to perform. We'll talk more about this during our open house and our EA during our activity fair. But basically, yeah, like we performed, and then it was a great experience because we're also showing the whole student body, like what Grupo Folclórico is about. We're also sharing our culture with other members on campus, so they can familiarize themselves with what we are, who we are, and what it means to be of Latinx background. So I really recommend y'all to join and look into it. We will be again at the activities fair and also having an open house real soon. So y'all welcome to join us and learn more about the organization. And I have provided a link in the bottom as well. If you're interested in learning more about Grupo, feel free to sign up. We will be starting our practices week 1. We have practices Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8 p.m. And our first large performance of the academic year will be the Dia de los Muertos event, and that should be taking place in November. So no experience is needed. Please attend our practices and get the opportunity to participate with us and be part of a really cool group.
Thank you, Kimberly and Miriam, for welcoming everyone into Grupo and for sharing about what it's about. If you guys are interested in like learning more, just stick around and we'll be having like a Q&A breakout portion where you guys can go and ask questions later. And so next we'll be moving on to Afro Latinx Connection. Afro Latinx Connection, the UCLA, is a student-run organization founded in 2018 that bridges the gap between the African and Latinx communities while educating folks on Afro-Latin cultures, histories, and existence. Our organizational pillars are community, arts, and culture, and political education. Welcome, guys. Thank you for being here. And let me know if you guys want to share your screen.
Yes, can I please have sharing capabilities? Oh, it said disabled.
Can someone make him co-host, please?
Yes, give me a second. Okay, just doing that right now.
Also, Crystal, please. Thank you, Santi.
Yep. Go, Reggie. Co-host. Yes. And Crystal. Okay.
We also have Tyra Cobbs highlighted as she's in the audience as well.
Okay. Give me a sec. There's. Okay.
Are we good now?
Yeah, we're good. Go ahead,
All
Reggie.
right. All right, bienvenidos, everyone. We are Afro Latinx Connection, the UCLA. Ooh, there we go. My name is Reggie Miles. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am ALC's co-president this upcoming year, and I am from Pasadena, California. I am a 4th year, double majoring in sociology and African American studies. And my background, my dad is Black American, and my mom is an Afro-Indigenous descendant woman whose family is from El Salvador. And I'll pass it off to Tyra and Crystal for the introductions.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tyra Cobbs. I am a 2nd-year transfer from the Bay Area. I'm currently majoring in African American Studies, and I have a double minor in History and African Studies. I am not Afro-Latinx, but I am an ally, and I like to empower people through like cultural unity. So I'm in this space trying to bridge those gaps between Black people and people of CHICANX heritage.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having us in this space. My name is Crystal Snow. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I'm the AOC Alumni Advisor. I graduated this year. I majored in Spanish and minored in CHICANX and Central American Studies with an emphasis in Afro, Latinx, and Indigenous Studies. I was born and raised in North Hollywood, California, so the San Fernando Valley. There are my socials and my background. My father is also African American from Mississippi, and my mom is from Jalisco, a small ranchito called Mirandias, which is close to Ayotlan, to about 2 hours away from Guadalajara. And thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us. We're excited. As mentioned, our mission and our background, right? Afro Latinx Connection. The UCLA is a student-run organization founded in 2018 that bridges the gap between the African diaspora and Latinx communities while educating folks on Afro-Latin cultures, histories, and existence. And our organizational pillars, as mentioned, are community, right? We're really community-oriented and based, arts and culture, and political education. And that's our e-board right there, you feel me, from last year.
Very e-board. And thank you. I saw it. Congratulations. Thank you.
So cultures and regions represented, right? We have Mexico, right, in North America. We have Central America. Shout out to Garifunas. The Caribbean, Haiti, shout out to Haiti. And the South American flags are not showing up. But it's
Pick it again.
Oh, okay.
I think, yeah, there you go.
That's okay. So yeah, we have these countries represented. And we put the Pan-African flag because we do identify as a club and organization as Pan-Africanist, and especially of what our mission is, right, to bridge different cultures and communities together. And also for context, right, you do not have to be Afro, Latino, or Black Latino to be in the organization. You could just be a Black American, like Tyra. You could be Nigerian. You could be non-Black Latino. You can be white, Asian. You can be whatever, and still join our space, be with us in community, right? So our featured and past events, right? As y'all can see, we have an array of social events, of political education events, and especially community events. We just recently had our event called Azúcar, celebrating Afro-Salvadorians and Afro-Costa Ricans. In August, El Salvador and Costa Rica celebrate their Afrodescendientes and Black History Months in August. So we decided to collaborate with UNICA, as mentioned, and Afros, which is the Afro-Salvadorian organization in El Salvador and across the world that represents the diaspora of Afrodescendientes in El Salvador. And that was shapopping, you feel me? We had cultural education presentations, panels, dance, artists. It was amazing. Yeah,
It was great.
It was great. Yeah, we featured of our past events as well. We had a political rights Platica panel, which was amazing, educating folks on Black and Brown voting rights and like specific policies that affect Black and Brown communities here in California. Our featured events, of course, we highlight and like magnify community because that's really what we are at LC. De-Stress with Dance quarterly, our quarterly De-Stress with Dance, right? So basically we host a Black Latinx, or right, dance instructor, right? So we had an Afro-Peruvian, Afro-Cuban, a Garifuna dance instructor last year, throughout each quarter at UCLA. And then recently we just started our Foods of Afro-Latin America series, where we highlight and educate folks on the contributions and existence of African Black roots and contributions in cuisine in Latin America. So we went to Caribbean Soul Kitchen LA, who are Afro-Panamanian. So yeah, that's some of the things that we do. I don't want to touch too much upon that, but yeah, that's that. And then of course we do a lot of feats and collaborations with Black and Latinx organizations here in UCLA. And yeah, classes on Afro-Latinidad. I just wanted to plug this in here if y'all want to take a picture real quick. But yeah, here are some classes y'all can take and experience to learn more about Black Latinos, right? The existence of Black folks in Latin America, throughout Latin America. from their experiences, their cultures, their histories. Want to plug that real quick if you want to take
Yeah.
pictures or something.
I'd also like to add the importance of these classes. As 10 years ago, these classes ran at UCLA, and they continue to grow, and they continue to start to represent more of the Afro Latinx communities, because also a lot of, particularly in the Spanish department, a lot of classes were taught by non-Afro Latinx folk or people who didn't identify as Black. So I also highly encourage taking these classes through the African American Studies department, because it really centers Blackness, and it does a really great job of doing that. But in the CHICANX and Central American Studies department, in the Spanish department, and outside of those departments, we're continuing to push this education. And it's really important that we continue to take those classes so that they can continue to grow, so that we can eventually continue to push them in the future. Maybe one day we will be the professors teaching them. And we can continue to spread these conversations. As was said before, it's really important to have these conversations, to bring these conversations up to our families. And a lot of the times we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the verbiage, we don't have the language to talk about it, or we don't even have the confidence, or we don't have the community to talk to about it. And these classes really set a beautiful setting stone to opening up those pathways to have healthy and productive conversations with our families and our friends and our communities.
Yes, definitely helps us get the language and actualize in real time. So yeah, thank you for that, Crystal. And then, right, folks, we do have a general body group me, right? So a platform and space where you can connect with other folks in the organization through a group chat. Here are our social media handles and platforms. I think you can scan the QR code. It's just a matter of like if my presenter face is in the way, but yes, please follow us on Instagram at ALC.UCLA, Twitter, same @handle. We have a website, our email's right there as well. And then we also have a store shop platform where like you could buy our merch as well. So that is us. I'll give y'all time to just scan the QR codes real quick. And then feel free to ask any questions in the chat. That was a brief introduction. We have amazing things for us in terms of just partnerships, more community work, and an annual culture show 2023, y'all. So look out for that as well. Where we're gonna be featuring and highlighting and representing all the different regions and cultures throughout Latin America. Yes, on Black Latinidad. So I will stop sharing my screen, but again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat, ask directly, and yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
And
so much. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say I can't stay for the Q&A because I'm in Texas visiting my brother. But I wanted to share my piece of advice to transfers. Though I'm not a transfer myself, I made a lot of transfer friends at UCLA, and something that I noticed a lot of the times was a need for affirmation and reaffirming space. A lot of the times I would talk to my friends who are transfers and they would be like, oh, well, you came here straight out of high school, you know, that means a lot. And I would say, you worked really hard as well. And you need to be very proud of your accomplishments to get here as well. All of our timelines are different. Our roadmaps look different. And so it's really important, one, to affirm ourselves and the spaces and recognize that even though our roadmaps and our timelines may seem different, we're all still going to be in community with each other. We still support each other. And some of my favorite people are transfers. Another thing is again, as was said, some of the toughest conversations are the most fruitful ones to have. So it's really important to Jonathan said, you know, transfers, but a lot of the times it's really hard to have these conversations. We get really nervous. We can feel our bodies tense up and we choke up. We can feel it in our throats. But a lot of the times the most productive conversations are those ones where you feel your body about to tense up. And it's because you need to release. We're building up like hundreds of years of trauma in our bodies, and we really need to release that. So there's that point of having those conversations and also doing what you love, and the money will follow. I highly recommend a book, that I forgot to bring, but it's called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. And I think that when we're doing this community work and we are in spaces like this, a lot of the times it's really hard to stay grounded in the work because we are we're very concerned about when the next paycheck is going to come, if we're going to be able to pay the bills. And we have a lot of standards that are being told to us about what we should do or what we shouldn't do. But please follow your passions, do what you love, and stay in community and be patient and continue to affirm yourself. And the money will follow, community will follow, stability will follow. It's just a time of patience, discipline, and continuing to believe in yourself. So those are the few things that I wanted to share. If anybody needs to reach out to me, you could follow our ALC page and then you can find my contact through there. But thank you so much for having us in this space. If there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. But I'm very grateful as well to have been able to be a part of this.
Thank you, Crystal, for your beautiful words. And thank you all, Reggie and Tyra, for joining us. We really appreciate your time. And yeah, I hope that you guys are able to stick around for the Q&A. I know that Crystal has to go, but thank you. And so now we'll be moving on to the Latin Business Student Association, also known as LBSA. LBSA is UCLA's first and premier professional organization for the first generation and Latinx Hispanic students. We were established in 1994 as a nonprofit organization, and our goal is to provide university students opportunities to participate in programs and activities that enhance their professional skills. And you can follow them on Instagram at UCLA LBSA. Thank you for joining us, and let me know if you would like to share your screen, please.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Also, I love these Zoom backgrounds. They're so creative. But anyways, my name is Diana Gonzalez. I just graduated from UCLA. I majored in sociology and I went on to the I took classes for the entrepreneurship minor, but I didn't pursue it. But I can answer some questions about it anyways. I am a transfer student. I transferred 2020 from Foothill College with an associate's degree of transfer in business admin. But I ended up doing sociology at UCLA. But one of the my prime and most memorable experiences at UCLA was being part of this amazing org. Going into UCLA, I knew I wanted to go into business, but I didn't know what I wanted to do or like what specifically I wanted to do, how to even start that path and where to even begin. And as a transfer student, I can say that I was super lost. When I got there, everyone was just kind of new. It just felt like everyone knew what they were doing. Everyone was doing interviews and had their resume together and had cover letters, and I had none of that. I didn't even have a resume together to apply it into like orgs on campus. So, but fortunately, I ran into LBSA, an amazing group of Latinx individuals, students who have gathered these resources with them, keeping in mind that a lot of students, Latinx and Hispanic students, come from first generation backgrounds, from low income backgrounds. So with that, we try to empower each other by providing as many resources as possible. And most of the time we are the first person in our family getting in, like breaking into corporate, like we're the first person in our family just going to work in a corporate environment. And it's a very daunting experience, honestly, having gone through the recruitment process and knowing what to get ready. But LBSA is such an empowering space where we are constantly helping each other with everything. We uplift each other. We inspire each other. I can honestly say that these group of students, my friends, my best friends, actually, I've made my best friends from this org at UCLA. They truly inspire me. Like, I have friends who, all of my friends from LBSA are first generation, come from low income backgrounds, but they're still breaking into corporate. They're breaking barriers. Honestly, they're paving the path for so many other students, and they're truly amazing. We have students who are going to Google, who are going to Accenture Consulting, which is a very competitive atmosphere. It's a very competitive environment, but because we've provided this space where we share resources and tips and tricks on how to break in, we've gotten there. Resources that many students from parents who maybe did go to college, who did go to corporate, already have through their families, through their mom and their dad, and the connections. But through LBSA, we create our own connections through our alumni network. We keep in touch with LBSA members from previous years and build this network. We really prioritize creating a very inspirational environment when it comes to uplifting our peers, and rooting for each other and our goals. And to join LBSA, you don't have to be interested in business. You don't have to be a business major. Like I mentioned, I am a sociology major, so there's no like direct correlation you could say from that. And so many of our students from LBSA, they're like anthropology majors, psychology majors, but they're still going into business related fields. So definitely don't, you don't have to be like, oh, like I don't want to join because I'm not in business. I'm not a business major. Definitely not. You shouldn't worry about it. But also, we do prioritize professional development. I was the VP of professional development my senior year at LBSA, and it was just a truly, it was such a great experience because I was able to give back to my community by gathering all the resources I've learned from my peers and learn from my own experiences and share them with the organization. And these are professional development. We share like professional development tips, like how to build a resume, how to write a cover letter, how to do interviews. These are all things you're gonna have to do despite whatever job you have. So just providing those resources is a way we uplift each other, because even though we like students might not go into necessarily a business background, just having a resume, having a cover letter, having those interview skills are very, very important to your career and whatever that is. We do have students who are not even going into that business field. One of my friends, they're going into law. So, but all of the connections they made through LBSA, they got mentors and were able to, and got tips and tricks from the mentors. They were able to gather all their experiences and kind of learn what to do. And also, like, moving on from that, we do have Latin in the name, but obviously you don't have to be Latin. We just prioritize providing those skills when it comes to professional development and putting ourselves out there and we have our org is very diverse. I am Mexican. I'm from Oaxaca. My parents are both Mexican, but we have students who are Mexican from El Salvador, from Panama, from Spain. So it's just, when combining all of our experiences, all of our backgrounds, we create such an empowering group of students. And this is how we support each other, just by gathering these resources and knowing that we're not alone, because sometimes like going into the real world and going into a career can feel rather daunting when our parents haven't been through that. So we create that space and atmosphere where we're there for each other. We provide those resources for each other. So please follow our Instagram where we have so many helpful resources. We work our butts off to create these resources for students. This is not just for us because we're in Oregon. We make these resources to keep it within the group. Of course not. We want to share it with as many students as possible. So please follow us, and I can guarantee you'll find something super helpful. And I still learn so much from my own peers. They are so inspiring, and they teach me something new every single day. But I'll be available in the Q&A section. Also, my LinkedIn, I'll tag my LinkedIn later in the chat. But yes, please feel to reach out to me if you have any questions or just want to connect, and I'd be more than happy to talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of that. If it wasn't for me like joining one of the events at LBSA, I would have never learned about an internship opportunity that I was able to engage in, and it has been really helpful as far as to like my professional development. And also someone else that you guys can reach out to is Javier Garcia. He's also in the room, and you can ask about any questions that you have about LBSA. But thank you again, Diana. And now we'll be moving on to the Latinx Film and Theater Association. So the Latinx Film and Theater Association aims to be a space for Latinx creatives to work and share our stories in such an unrepresented field as film, with every step of the creative and production process being ran by the community of our members. LFTA also engages in a theater event where all the efforts worked under in a year are presented to the UCLA community and general public. Their main values are teamwork, creativity, and inclusion. Welcome, and thank you for joining us. Let me know if you would like to share your screen as well.
Yes, hello. I think I will not share my screen, but thank you. So hi everyone, my name is Jaime Estrada. I'm also a transfer student. I transferred from Southwestern in Chula Vista, California. I just graduated from UCLA this past June. So yeah, this last year I was also part of the Latinx Film and Theater Association, which by the name you can tell that the main work is with film and theater, and I would say that it works mainly with film. I will touch on the theater aspect later, but yeah, so the core of the whole organization is to really create our voices, speak for our voices and our stories, and speak up for our representation in this unrepresented field of film, at least here in the United States. We advocate on our social media, and we advocate also by creating these projects, which are the fuel of the whole organization. And usually the setup of a whole year with LFTA is on the first 2 quarters, we work on short film projects. We create them, we pre-produce and post-produce them, which takes a lot of work, takes a lot of input into that. That's why we value a lot of members to join. And on the last quarter, which is the spring, we create this main theater event where we produce all the work that has been done, and also present some plays and theater action for the UCLA community and general public. And these experiences are really rewarding. If you're into this, if you're looking for something creative and cultural, you definitely should look up to join or present yourself in the first meeting and see how it looks to you, how the leaders manage that. But yeah, the organization doesn't really ask you to have experience in those fields when I transferred and when I came to UCLA for my only in-person year, I was a bit desperate to look out for a group that I will be comfortable in and that I would not feel like I was wasting my time. And that was one of the first flyers that I saw, and I just went to see what's up. I ended up staying the whole year, and I think it has been one of the most fun and creative experiences of my life, and I did not regret it at all. If you don't have any experience, you're asked to be just participative, to engage, to be willing to volunteer and take roles that you may not have taken before. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on in these projects, from setting actors, setting locations, do fundraisers. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to really create community among there. And yeah, we really value teamwork, creativity, inclusion, integrity. We create stories, produce them, and it's really fun. To be honest, if you are looking into something like that, I definitely recommend it. And yeah, I think that's it for me. Power to the transfer, and I'll be waiting for any question if you have it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jaime, for joining us. And also remember that if you do have time, please stick around so people can join you in a breakout room so they can learn more about the LFTA. And now we will be moving on to Latinas Guiding Latinas. Latinas Guiding Latinas is a student-led organization created in 1987 with the mission of increasing the number of Latinx students graduating high school and pursuing higher education. We aim to do this through mentoring students at local K-12 schools in East LA. Specifically, LGL offers assistance with college applications, scholarship searches, and FAFSA applications for their high school mentees, and workshops about self-care, Latinx identity, and higher education for their middle school and elementary school mentees. Overall, they strive to empower their mentees to value themselves and to strengthen their community. Thank you, Desiree, for joining us. And I believe you'll be sharing your screen, right?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Okay. Sorry about the delay. So my name is Desiree Arreola. I'm representing Latinas Guiding Latinas today. So I'm very thankful for you guys inviting LGL to be in the space. I'm super excited to have conversation with you guys. So our mission, we were created in 1987. Latinas Guiding Latinas has focused on supporting a community by striving to increase the number of young Latinx students that graduate high school and pursue higher education. So for the past 35 years, we have mentored students in the East LA area, specifically two high schools, Nava College Preparatory Academy, STEM Academy of Boyle Heights, and Belvedere Middle School and Kennedy Elementary. So for our Kennedy Elementary and Belvedere Middle School, we mentor elementary and middle school students here, and we create weekly activities covering topics related to Latinx identity, higher education, and self-care. We know that our students here are young and they're not applying to college yet, but we are like trying to get them aware about what higher education is and trying to build that confidence at an early age, and like being familiar with terms like what is a community college, what is four-year institutions, terms like that. And for our high schools, Nava and STEM Academy, we help guide students to make the transition to after school a little easier. So we also hold 1-hour meetings with our mentees at their high school, and we present workshops, including housing, PIQs, FAFSA, what the difference is between a major and a minor. We also talk about self-care, help them build their resumes, and more. And we do have 3 committees. So our first committee is a field trip committee. Every year we plan 3 field trips, 1 for every quarter. So for the first quarter, we have a college field trip. So the past year, we took all of our mentees to UC Irvine. And for our second quarter, we took them to MOLA Museum. And then for our third field trip, we decided to like celebrate our mentees to making it through the school year, especially for our seniors that were graduating. And we took them to Knott's Berry Farm. And then our second committee is a financial committee. So every year we try to raise money to give our high school seniors a scholarship. And so every year we send out application to our seniors and they can apply. And throughout the year, we hold various fundraisers. So for example, we held a fundraiser selling tostitos or dorados, and yeah, for our social committee. We plan various socials throughout the year so we can bond with each other. Our various social events include financial workshops, game nights, and holiday parties. We also have an annual retreat. So last year we went to this cabin and we were there for the weekend, and it was just like a really nice experience because we got to know each other more and build like community there. And we also do alumni networking. So after our members graduate from college, we still do invite them to continue giving back to our communities. I just graduated. I'm the class of 22. I was a major in psychology, and I double minored in CHICANX studies and education studies. I was with LGL for 2 years. So I joined my second year in college. I entered as a my first year, I was a mentor, and my second year, I was a project director. And as a mentor, I was attending these virtual site visits because at the time it was during the pandemic. So we would create videos for our mentees to view on YouTube, and we would post them on our LGO website. And then when I was a project director, I created and implemented activities with our mentees, and we would go to the elementary school and like implement these activities. And LGL was really my home away from home. My first year I really did struggle. I felt very isolated, and I struggled with like depression just because I felt like I didn't really see people like me. And at UCLA, I majored in psychology, so it's like a very white dominated field. In my classes, I really felt like alone, and like no one really understood where I was coming from. When I joined LGL my second year, it really helped me feel valued, especially like if you just look at these pictures here, like I think you can tell how very close-knit of a community we are at LGL. I really like appreciate them, and I'm still like talking like all these people here, like I'm still friends with them. Yeah, so LGL is like my heart. Yeah. So how can you join us? Or what can you gain if you join us? You can gain leadership experience, mentorship experience, experience in lesson planning, and friends. How you can join us. You do not need application to join us. Everyone is welcome to our 10 weekly meetings on Monday nights at 7 p.m. I know that sometimes it's kind of hard to attend these meetings, so we still do invite our community members to help us with planning our lesson plans or coming to our site visits with us to the local high schools and middle school and elementary school that we partner with. And our Instagram is at Latinas_Latinas. If you want to follow us there and find out more information. And our email is lgl@ucla@gmail.com. Our Instagram is, like I said before, and we do have a website. So if you want to scan that QR code, you are welcome to scan it or take a picture of it. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Desiree. We appreciate your time. Okay, now I will be passing it on to Javier, who will be introducing this next organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa, and thank you, Desiree. So I will be talking about Lambda Theta Alpha. So the purpose of Lambda Theta Alpha shall be to provide a sisterhood based on unity, love, and respect, to develop strong leaders who will then provide and practice political, social, and cultural activities to promote unity through charity and educational programs, and to maintain a high standard of living and serve as a voice for all students. I want to please welcome our guest, Dalia.
Hi, I will actually be sharing screen. Okay, so I will be talking about Lambda Theta Alpha, but first, my name is Dalia. I was a transfer student. I just graduated from UCLA. this past spring. I was also a CCCP peer advisor, so it's great to be back in this space with y'all. And so I double majored in Chicano studies and labor studies, but today I am here to represent LTA. So Lambda Theta Alpha was recognized at Kean University on the East Coast as the first Latina sorority in the United States. So this was only 1975. So even though we're the first Latina sorority, we're also not that old. And so it was born out of the need to support groups and outreach programs. Because this was 1975, like there was just not a lot of programs that were there for the low percentage of Latina women in higher education. And so the mission of LTA is to provide a sisterhood on these campuses, for unity, love, and respect, to develop strong leaders. I know that in institutions of higher education, there's low percentages of Latina women, but then for them to have leadership roles is even harder. So this is definitely an org that focuses on developing leadership. And something that we are very passionate about as well is to be involved in political, social, and cultural activities. And this is just a photo of our chapter at our banquet this past year. They're so cute. I love my sisters. And then so a big part of LTA is community service. And we have two philanthropies that we're involved with. The national philanthropy is St. Jude's Hospital. We spend a lot of time creating letters, writing letters to the children who are at these hospitals, just like letters of encouragement. But our big thing is our soccer tournament, Goals for St. Jude. And this is definitely where like the Latino community at UCLA really gets involved. A lot of the fraternities join us. You like get to sign up with your team of friends, and it's a whole day of like playing soccer. There's snacks, water, just getting to know each other, and all the money that we raise goes back to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And then more locally, our chapter philanthropy is changing attitudes through mentoring, belief, and inspiration for opportunity, which is Cambio. And we typically work with a high school in South Central or Watts. And this year we worked with a high school in South LA. And we mentor the students. We have a relationship with them all year. These are some photos of like, we were able to host them on campus, which was really special. A lot of them were high school juniors and seniors. And even though they're like at UCLA, a lot of them had community college in mind. So there was a lot of questions about like transferring that I was able to answer. It's definitely a transfer friendly org. We also give a lot of presentations. Just as much as we value academics, we think that taking care of your mental health is really important, which is this photo here. And we hold a lot of fundraisers all year. We did a succulent sale this past spring, which was really successful. And we were able to provide, I believe, 3 or 4 students from this high school a scholarship, which was really, really special. And this was like the first year since the beginning of the pandemic that we were able to do a lot of these things back in person. And it's just like a lot of support for the community in LA. We're always about giving back to our local community. And lastly, I wanted to touch a little bit about the opportunities for professional development. LTA definitely stresses the importance of networking, of developing personally. I know that like when I came to UCLA, I had like no idea about like sororities and fraternities, but the Latino sororities and fraternities on campus definitely work really, really hard. And LTA has a lot of opportunities for professional development. This picture here is at convention. This is a few years old, but this year it was in Texas, and a lot of sisters went. They got to meet a lot of professionals. There's like a career fair. Being partnered with St. Jude's Children's Hospital, I constantly get emails from like higher ups that St. Jude's is hiring, and they're prioritizing sisters of Lambda Theta Alpha. And there's like really great positions all over the country that we are eligible to apply for and have priority in. And I think that this org definitely has taught me a lot about communicating with professionals, like proper etiquette, like even like sending an email to a professional, like how do you do that? Like where do things go? Like you don't have to come in knowing any of that, like you will be taught how to do so. And so also this is a photo of like the 2017 Young Professionals Summit that sisters got to go to. There's also a lot of networking. This photo in the corner is actually our UCLA sisters with our USC sisters. We are very close to them, even though they're the other school. We're also very close to the sisters at Long Beach, Cal State Long Beach. So even when we hear about opportunities that could be beneficial, we share them, and vice versa, they share with us. I know that sororities and fraternities often get looped into like what we see in movies, and it could be like, oh, like not so academic focused, but we definitely are. We are very united. This is a group of very strong women who I turn to for a lot of things. It's at networking. I just graduated, so I've been talking to a couple of alumni who have jobs at law firms, and just like networking. How do I, make my resume stand out? And I've been getting a lot of mentorship through them. So it's definitely very professional and academic oriented, but also community service oriented. And we do a lot for the community, and we're very proud of it. And that's just a little bit about us. And if you have any more questions about Latino organizations, fraternities and sororities on campus, I will be happy to answer them. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dalia, for joining us and for your time. We appreciate you. And now we will be moving on to our last org, which is Única, and Javier will be introducing them.
Okay, so Única, the club was mentioned multiple times, so that's really cool to just like see how we're ending it on this note. So Única is a Central American student organization that recognizes its long history of struggle and internationalism. We align with any movement, initiative, or organization that shares our anti-capitalist and anti-imperialist vision in an effort to uplift the most marginalized sectors of our communities. We actively oppose and work against, but not limited to, racism, classism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia, and gender-based discrimination. And I believe we have Jonathan to represent Única. Take it away, Jonathan. Oh, also,
by any chance, you allow me to share my screen?
Yeah, we'll do that right now.
No worries. But while he does that, I just want to introduce myself. Good morning, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan Lopez. I'm a fourth-year public affairs major. I'm also a transfer student from West Los Angeles College. I'm minoring in labor studies. Yeah, I'm minoring in labor studies. And yeah, I'm just here to talk about Única. First off, I want to say I really like this filter. I'm gonna steal this idea. I'm gonna change the CCCP to like an Única thing. But yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen. Does it look good? Can you guys see?
Yeah, we can see.
Cool. So yeah, I'm just here to represent Única. It stands for Unión Centroamericana de UCLA. So who are we? We are a student-led organization with the mission to empower Central American students at UCLA by building community and informing members on political, historical, and culture through social events. So the origins of UNICA. So it was inspired and modeled after La Unión Salvadoreña de Estudiantes, the first Central American student org at UCLA. But we wanted to expand that, or the original members wanted to expand that to include all the other Central American countries, because when you look at the history, when you look at the history of Central America, you're going to notice that at the end of the day, these borders were created really just to exploit the people and their resources. But that's for a different time. So the vision is we want to create a safe space in campus for fellow Central American students to feel at home, a space for all of us to come together, learn from each other, and build a strong Central American community here at UCLA. So just building off a brief history, the club is relatively new. Obviously, you have clubs at UCLA that have been here for years, like a Grupo Folclórico, but UNICA was started back in 2018 with the founders, including Leslie Aguilar, Kathy Maldonado, and Jennifer Carcamo, who look like only one of them was a graduate student, but they wanted to model UNICA after their shared experiences as femme, queer, immigrant, working class Central American women. And this is some of the first images of the meeting. So this is the first meeting right here back in 2018. This is the first flyer that UNICA had, and this is the first official core team. As you can tell, there are a lot of men in this picture. No, there aren't. That's one thing I think we definitely want to focus on the club, is also just Black and brown men don't tend to make it to higher education because of institutional racism. And we definitely want to expand on just creating a safe space for all Central American students. So some of the past events that have taken place was Dia de los Muertos Barilete making workshop. That's really cool. We should do that again this year. For those of you who don't know, so Dia de los Muertos is celebrated differently throughout Latin America. And in Guatemala specifically, there is this event that takes place. I think it's a couple of days, and it's in a specific region of Guatemala. And they make bariletes, which are these like enormous kites. Realistically speaking, we probably would not build one that is this big, because they take up a lot of space. And you show up to a festival where people fly them around. We also have the honoring of Black and Indigenous resistance in Honduras, with a guest talk by Afro-Indigenous human rights defender Melissa Cardosa, which took place back in 2020. And some of the more recent events that have taken place, I was able to attend this one, the Central American Spring Mixer. This was held near Royce, where basically all of the different Central American orgs on campus, I believe the graduate students have their own. It's called Caiga. And there might be another one. And UNICA just met up. We had food, we talked, we met each other, we had music, and we just took up space. This is another event that we had where we made empanadas, Salvadorian empanadas, which are plantains with, it could either be beans or it could be like crema. And we also had a dinner at a Panamanian restaurant, which is near LACMA. That's me right here. And yeah, as it was mentioned in the beginning, UNICA has very strong political beliefs. But one thing that I want to mention or emphasize is that in order to have those type of dialogues and conversations, you definitely need to build community and get to know each other first. Sadly, Central America is a part of the world with a lot of history with imperialism, colonization, and overall violence. And we want to make sure that when you show up to an event, you're not just like, oh, look, these are my family traumas. This is what has happened to us. We also want to make sure that we get to know each other first, and then we build those relationships before we can get to that step. And I think that is it for me. I can put the Instagram in the Zoom call, but yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. We appreciate you, and we also appreciate everyone who took the time out to come and share with our students about the different clubs and orgs that they can get involved in once they transfer. Now we will be moving on, and I'll pass it on to Santi.
Thank you so much to everyone. I mean, thank you for your time. We definitely appreciate that you are sharing time with us, that you are here in community with us, and that more importantly, you're here in community with our participants. I mean, I think just getting to know what UCLA offers is such a great step to do now, because what you want to do is, learn about all these different things at this point, so that that once you get here, and we're saying once you get here, that you'll know what kinds of things you want to be involved in. So I know we're a little behind, so we apologize for that. That with so much information, it's so beautiful that we have this much information, right? So with that, I want to say first of all, to our panelists, if we understand we gave you a time, and if you need to leave, of course, we understand you need to leave, but if you can stay with us a little longer, we would appreciate it. And then for our participants, I know this is the break, the meal, and we gotta eat, but if you also want to stay and kind of, ask questions of our panelists, whoever is gonna stay, I think, we would very much love that. Again, making those connections, getting to know these folks. This is what it's all about, right? We don't make connections with institutions. We make connections with each other. That's how this really happens, right? So, you don't need to know the 40,000 students at UCLA. First of all, nobody does that. But these folks who are here, who have taken the time to be here, again, it's just my heart is so filled with, with joy, just because everyone's here. And so if I can ask, are we doing the breakouts, Vanessa? I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll be opening the breakout rooms, and then you guys can join whatever club or org you would like to learn more about, and you can ask them questions.
So the breakouts will be open. The rooms will be available for any of our panelists who say what to stay. Please don't feel pressure that you have to stay. We want to respect your time. So if you need to go, you need to go. We love the fact that you were here. Secondly, for our participants, whoever wants to hang around and kind of just get some more information, get to connect with some of these folks. Really, these are the people you want to start getting to know, so that that those researchers start making sense to you as well. And we will resume the portion of our webinar at 1 p.m. At any point, if you want to, the room will stay open all throughout. So if you want to, go get something in the kitchen, or just order something in, or some pupusas, some tacos, whatever we're gonna be eating today, please, you can do that as well. We want to give you the option, and agency is important, so you can practice your own agency. We don't want to be the ones dictating to you what needs to be done. We want to make sure that you get to choose what you would prefer to be done. So again, with that, I'm gonna stop talking, have Vanessa open those rooms. I'll be here in the main room, and then if there's any problems at any point, just come back to the main room, and we can make sure to place you where you want to be at this point. Again, thank you to our panelists for the amazing work that you do on top of everything that you do, responsibilities, work, school, family, et cetera, et cetera. You get to do all this additional work. You're amazing. Thank you.
All right, everyone. I will be opening the breakout rooms now. Javier, can you see that the breakout rooms are open?
Yes.
Okay. So feel free to just go, and you can stop by as many breakout rooms as you want if you want to speak to multiple people who are representing. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think we have mentioned what groups will be doing what. So if as was mentioned by Santi, if you're able to stay, please do. If you can, we completely understand. But in terms of the numbers and the groups that will be assigned to each number, it's kind of in the same order that we presented. So group one, so room one would be Folclórico, room two would be Afro Latinx Connection, room three would be LBSA, room four, Latinx Film and Theater Association, 5, Latinas Guiding Latinas, 6, Lambda Theta Alpha, and 7 would be Única. So yeah, once again, we do appreciate you being here, and if you want to just go get lunch, that's fine too. But as Sandy mentioned, this will be open, so yeah, feel free to just join if you can, and network, y'all, and have fun.
Yeah, and also just to add on, if you look at the breakout rooms, you can see that it has the name of each club or organization, so you would just click on it and press join.
And if anyone needs assistance in being placed into one of the rooms, let us know. We can also help you place you to a room. I know some of you may be calling from your phone and may not be able to join the room directly, so just let us know.
So like Santi said, if you guys need any help, feel free to raise your hand or send us a message. I'm gonna start playing some music for anyone who's just gonna go get